Turn your living room into a joyful, hands-free playroom with CoComelon Sing and Play with JJ. Your child sings, moves, and learns right alongside JJ and friends, all on the big screen. It's designed thoughtfully to spark speech, rhythm, and coordination through songs and active play. Try an ad-free, safe, and interactive way to make screen time part of their learning and growth. Parents love how easy it is, voice-controlled and frustration-free. Kids love every moment of singing, laughing, and playing along. It's fun for them, and it's feel-good for you. Available now in the Volley app on your smart TV. Just search Volley in your TV's app store and start your free trial of CoComelon Sing and Play with JJ today. That's CoComelon Sing and Play with JJ, available now in the Volley app on your smart TV. Search Volley and start your free trial today.
Volley. Welcome to Homeschooling Outside the Box, the podcast that encourages and equips moms to homeschool an outside-the-box child. Hey there, I'm Cindy Renna, and this is episode 19. Today, I've got a very special treat for everyone. I have Bryn Hogan, who is the Executive Director of the Autism Treatment Center of America and proud Sunrise mom. Bryn, say hello to everyone.
Hello to everyone.
Bryn is doing me a huge privilege by letting me come and interview her. As a lot of you know, Lee and I are actually here this week at the Autism Treatment Center of America working on our Sunrise program. If you keep up with me on Instagram, you've got to see some pictures of their amazing campus. So even though it's spring and it's a little colder than I would like coming from Alabama, we are still having an amazing time, and I cannot wait to share some of this with you. So if you are unfamiliar with what the Sunrise program is, you can check out episode 3, where I really dive into what the program is, how we've been using it in our home, how it's been so effective. So we are going to kind of skip over some of the formalities, assuming that you've listened to that. If not, you might want to pause here, go listen to that, and come back, because I would like to take this opportunity with Bryn today to really dig into how you can help your child with autism today, right now, right after you listen to this podcast, some things you can start putting into play and why you might want to start thinking about autism differently. And if you've listened long enough, you know that I don't tend to do things in a normal fashion where we like to go against the grain. So this is no different. You're going to hear a lot of things on here that might sound odd to you or might sound completely opposite of things that your doctor tells you or your pediatrician or your mother-in-law or your best friend. And that's okay. Just know that just because it's different, it's not bad. Try to keep an open mind. And so right now I'm going to ask Bryn to kind of share with us your background a little bit, how you fit into the Sunrise program and how it became a part of your life.
What I think is really fascinating is how every single part of my life and every phase of my life has been affected by the Sunrise program. So when my brother was 18 months old, he was diagnosed with autism. My parents, Bears and Samaria Kaufman, went and tried to get help in the mid-70s, and they were told that it was a form of childhood schizophrenia, and they were told that, electric shock would be appropriate, and that he, at 2 years old, he ought to be put in an institution, and what a lot of parents were told. They didn't want that. They didn't want that for him. They didn't want that for themselves, and they didn't want that for me and my sister and all of us as a family. So they searched a lot, didn't really find anything they felt good about, and so they decided to try and connect with him and reach him on their own. Now, these are just two parents, so they don't have a PhD in child psychology or education, and it was really born from parents loving their child and wanting to connect with him. And so they created something that they called the Sunrise program. It was called SON-RISE, and Ron, my brother, he completely emerged with no signs of his former condition, and he went on to go to an Ivy League university. And of course, I went to a state school, so there's some bickering about that. And now he has been traveling the world, teaching, presenting, and working with families and children now as an adult, as that being his life's work.
And if I can interject real quick, Ron Kaufman is the one I've mentioned, I know before on this podcast, the book Autism Breakthrough. I will link it in the show notes. So if you're folding laundry right now, don't try to hurry and find a pen. I'll write it down for you. But this book outlines the whole program that Bryn and I are going to talk about today, and it is remarkable. So Bryn got, at a very early age, a front row seat to autism in a very different world than the one we're living in. There was no Autism Awareness Month, no blue porch lights, nobody kind of encouraging your parents in that way, and yet they decided to do something radically different.
Yes, and I don't know how old everyone listening is, but there was a time both before the internet and before the movie Rain Man, and before, so really no one ever heard the word autism. No one, I mean, now with TV and media and newspaper, you can't walk 5 feet without someone discussing autism, talking about it, saying someone in their family has it. But this was like nothing was there. Sure. And so I was a sibling of someone who was having a Sunrise program, which was my brother. And then, so life went on. I learned to ride a bike. A lot of interesting things happened in between there. And then when I graduated from college, this is what I wanted to do with my life. And actually, my parents had started the Autism Treatment Center of America here in Sheffield, Massachusetts. And I was 17, 18 years old. And this is a kind of rural, beautiful, picturesque country place. And at 18, there was no way I wanted to live here because there's nothing to do. And also, I was convinced that there had to be another program because there's no way I'm going to like stay here and work with my parents. That's ridiculous. So I went to Boston and I did jobs in the field and I became a special education teacher. And I was so really, I can't believe it, like shocked from having been raised and having looked at the staff at the Autism Treatment Center of America and having that be really my only exposure to how to be with a child or a person who had autism, that it was just not something I felt I could do because I couldn't get behind it. So I came back here and I became a child facilitator and a teacher. Oh, first I became a Sunrise Program volunteer. So I started volunteering with other families who were doing their Sunrise programs because we really encourage people to invite others to be a part of it. You look like you want to say something.
I was just going to interject, but yeah, volunteering is a huge part of the program because that's another beautiful thing about this program being designed by parents. They recognize you cannot do this by yourself. So they encourage you to extend your family. And I mean, it's a beautiful gift to invite people into your life and into the life of your child. And so you came on as a volunteer for a child.
Well, actually, to digress for a moment, there was a woman here last week, I believe she was from Indonesia, and she was describing a very difficult circumstance she had had with her son in a public place where everyone was staring and people are looking at her in a very judgmental manner, and they're saying, even people are saying, why can't you control your child? Anyone out there who has a child who's unique knows exactly what I'm talking about. The like rolled eyes and they want to make sure that you know that they're judging you.
Yes.
So that somehow, because what you really wanted was for your child to throw a tantrum in the middle of Walmart. Like you were hoping for it. You live and like this. And as we were discussing different solutions, she was having trouble saying that wouldn't work. And one of the reasons was because what it came down to is then she'd have to tell people her child was autistic. Oh. And in her country and in her family and in her area, that would be, she felt very difficult, that they would maybe be shunned or looked at in a judgmental way, or people would think that he didn't have the capacity to learn. So even now, and even in other countries and even in the United States, there's still a lot of, I believe, misconception.
Oh, absolutely. Even 10 years ago, and to kind of follow this rabbit trail, I love it. Even 10 years ago when Benjamin was diagnosed, it was very much presented as, here's the deck of cards you got. This is how it's going to be. And we were told by, I want to say it was Dr. I can't remember now if it's a doctor or therapist, so I won't say which, but somebody had told us, if you don't reach him by 7,
yes, that's right.
You really have, the brain's
talk,
not,
you want this, yes.
The brain's not going to be malleable enough, and, you're going to lose them if you don't reach him by 7. And so
no pressure,
that was just,
that's good. You've got like 7 years to change your child's life. If you don't,
Exactly.
A, you're a bad parent, and
Right.
B, he'll never change.
Exactly. So there is still, and that's another thing I love about this center is it's not just an Alabama thing. It's not just
Right.
an American thing. I am here sharing this week with 38 people from 16 different
Yes.
countries. When I was here for Startup, which is the first program that you can come to at Sunrise, there were 75 of us, 23 different countries. And that blew my mind because, and as an autism mom, you are used to feeling like the only person in the room.
Yes, I know.
And then you come to the Autism Treatment Center,
Yes.
and every
Your people!
single
Yes.
every single person in the room is the only person in the room, and you're
Yes.
just immediately bonded with these people. But we'll talk more about that later because we're going to tell you about your. If you listen to this and love this, say, "Oh my goodness, sign me up! What do I do?" We're going to tell you exactly what you can do. So let's get back to your bio. So you came
so
back.
I'll speed this up. So I was volunteering, which I really loved and enjoyed. I actually have never had another job my entire life other than working with special children, ever. So then I came back here, tail between my legs, having to say to my parents, living in the middle of nowhere, please, can I work here instead? I met my husband here. We both became, worked with children, got trained to work with children. We got trained to be teachers. We then adopted our daughter. So then I was a teacher, which was really amazing. And I was a facilitator for children. And that was
And just
really
explain, that's
amazing.
the people who go into the room. Just kind of explain what it is.
So a child facilitator would be the person working directly with the child. And so what we do is there's professional training programs to become a professional person to do that, which is what I did. But the Sunrise Program Startup, why you're here this week, and all of our programs are helping the parents be equipped to be able to do that with their own child, right? And that's the other thing I love about this program is the harnessing the lifetime commitment and love that the parent has instead of pushing them aside, telling them that because they don't have a degree or they don't have a certain kind of training that they're ill-equipped to make a difference in their child's life. And I love this because we find when you give parents the tools, they're the best people to help their children. They know the child the most. They have the deepest level of commitment. They want the most for their child. It's a stupendous thing to observe.
It is, and half the time you're the one fighting the doctors and the teachers, and
Right.
so instead of using all that energy to fight against something, if you pour into it to do something really amazing,
Yes.
it's very powerful. But okay, so you
and then I
met
came
William.
Here, then I started to teach. I started to teach parents, and I started to teach large groups, and I started to teach facilitators and teachers. My son became a teacher of teachers. It was great. I loved it. It was wonderful. And then we adopted our daughter, and she was a newborn. And then 2 years later, you'll find, many of you listening will find this familiar. She just starts acting a little different. She starts crying more. She starts talking less. She starts talking more less. She loses all her potty training. She starts flushing the toilet 10,000 times. She starts crying inconsolably, and she starts actually being really weird about her food, and she actually starts to seem like she has stomach aches, and like her skin smells fun, like everything. And at first me and William were both thinking, and we're teachers and we work only with autism, could she be autistic? But in our minds we're like, oh, we're like the doctor that sees malaria and everything, you know? And all children walk on their toes or flap their hands at one. But we realized that she had autism, so we began our own Sunrise program. So I got to be a Sunrise program mom, and that so deepened my knowledge and my compassion and although I felt I was all of those things as a professional, there was there was a club I wasn't in.
Right.
And then I got in the club, and it was the greatest. I have two great experiences in my life. That was one of them. Great, beautiful. It was empowering. It was being with her in a loving way. It was helping her. It was pulling other people in so we felt supported and part of a team. We weren't alone. We grew. Everyone around us grew. La la! It was like, oh, wonderful. And then she went to school without any aid or anything like that.
And you said, you said you ran it for 5 years, right?
It was 3.5
3.5
years in place of school. right? So like our version of homeschooling.
Gotcha.
And then a year and a half when she started school, going like after school.
Okay.
Like kind of extra tutoring and support for the first like year and a half. And every family does it for a different length of time because every child is different. She went to school and we got to experience all the things that so many of us parents, when we're told that our child is different, believe will never be accessible to us, right? Mm-hmm. Everything from Little League, you know, T-ball, we're just watching her with the hat and everything, like with all the other children. And, you know, me, my volunteers, my parents, my brothers and sisters, is like 20 of us crying and cheering at a T-ball game, like ridiculous behavior. And then she joined sporting teams and she joined clubs and then she had friends and then she got her driver's license and she went to the prom twice. And she crashed the car, and she started seeing boys, and she, you know, rolled her eyes at the dinner table, like everything perfectly. And now she has been 3 years with her boyfriend, and they have a wonderful relationship.
I think you touched on something so beautiful because I feel blessed with our kids. I feel like we get to experience those wins. You know, I think I can just see everyone at the T-ball game, and I know we've had similar, like, did you see that? And any other parent, any normal, a child, you know, their parents would take those moments for granted so often. And so we get to feel things, experience things so much deeper. I think, and that's part of the gift that autism is. So I'm gonna move that. That's a good segue for us into the attitude of the Sunrise program and kind of the paradigm shift. And I'll give you a little backstory on me, on what needs to happen to really help your child to be successful. So when Benjamin was diagnosed, it was I'm a natural. I love self-educating. You know, I'm a natural seeker. I'm gonna read on it and find it. And I went through this really odd period of, I guess, denial. You know, I didn't read anything about it. I just thought, all I remember is Lee saying...
My fingers in my ears and go, la, 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 la.
Yes. All I remember Lee saying, he looked at me one day and he goes, so he doesn't have autism like sell the house and move to California autism, right? Because that was in the Jenny McCarthy days of autism. Where she, that was all I knew about it. And I said, oh, no, I don't think, you know, having no idea what I was talking about. So, you know, and then I just sort of shut down and I'm like, oh, well, we're just going to pretend that this didn't happen. And I'm just still going to sign him up for gymnastics. And I'm still going to go to Chick-fil-A. You guys you don't have Chick-fil-A's here? Do you know what it is?
Yes,
okay.
I do.
We're still going to go to Chick-fil-A at noon. When it's busy and, you know, and I was just still going to do all these things. And it was this, God showed me very quickly. No, he indeed does have autism. That means you cannot continue to live your life in the way that you've been living it. So I started doing some research. I checked out some books from the library. And by the end of that first year, I was exhausted. I was depressed. I was a turtle in my shell. And I was, I had no hope.
Because all of that messaging isn't really, well, it's not really help.
No. It was how... It was, get ready. This is going to be awful. And so by the time I had stumbled onto Jonathan Levy's book, 10 Things You Can Do Right Now to Help Your Child, I think. But Jonathan had worked at the Autism Treatment Center for a while. So I read that book, and it was it was like I was a fish, like gasping, you know, that I'd been taken out of water, and somebody just plopped me back down into water. And it was so refreshing. And I thought, there's another way to think about this, you know, and that was just mind-blowing. But then I sort of had my own, you know, we all have to take our own journeys. So it's like I read that, found it beautiful, did some things, saw immediate things happen. But at the time, you had to come to Sheffield. We were not in a good place financially. It just felt like someone saying, well, you'll have to move to Mars to make this happen. So we had sort of set it aside. But again, I mean, everybody's journey is different for a reason. And for whatever reason, we had to, you know, go to Vanderbilt and do ABA. We had to go see that these things are not going to work.
And by the way, when you say you had to, and I don't know, this is what everyone's telling you. This is what teachers and doctors, and why wouldn't you?
Right.
Like, of course you would say, well, I ought to check that out. Maybe it works.
Exactly. So we did do, we sort of went around with things. And then it's funny, but by the time Ron had written his book, that was when it was Autism Breakthrough. it was sort of in the back of my mind, and I thought, nothing we're doing right now is working. I got all these pictures hanging up around my house, and Ben's still not talking to me, and I had read the book, and I thought, yes, we're going to, today, like, this is what we're going to do. And that was April 2015, and I was able to come to Startup October 2015. And so my point of telling you that background is something changed in me. And it was an absolute paradigm shift. And I think the message is so important. So can you talk to us a little bit about the attitude of acceptance and then just the paradigm shift on what autism is and why we should be hopeful, why we can be hopeful about it.
Yes. Well, when you say the attitude, to clarify that, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think what you're saying is the attitude of the parents is relevant to helping their child. And actually the attitude of everyone around your child, other teachers or helpers or your babysitter or your mother-in-law, that it's relevant. And when you say the attitude, it's really means how we feel inside, right?
Right.
So, like you said, most parents that I first meet that have either just found out and they've started reading some things and they're terrified, or their child is maybe older, maybe their child's 12 or 20, and they have been told by everyone, see, right? But there's something in, so they're sad,
Right.
But you and a parent with a 30-year-old still has that little glimmer somewhere that someone wasn't able to stamp out in you that says, maybe, maybe. So what we find first and foremost in all of our work is that our kids, when I say our kids, I mean children on the autism spectrum, are so sensitive. Now, it's understood now that many of them have sensory processing issues. So they might have difficulty filtering things out that are a lot coming at them differently than us. But part of what they're very sensitive to is the attitude of the people around them, the way that people seem to feel and behave, whether the people around them appear judgmental, critical, and disapproving, or loving, accepting, kind, and celebratory, right? Now, so we really have seen 100,000 examples of even when someone who's with a child, parent or otherwise, just changes something inside themselves so that they can move from critical, judgmental, and annoyed or angry or sad to something that feels more positive, loving, and life-affirming, that the children immediately respond to that. But listen, they're just doing what we do. We all go towards friendly people, and we all move away from people who don't look friendly. So they're just doing the same thing. The problem is, if I have autism, then I do a lot of things that are just me, that a lot of people don't like or seem to think is weird or inappropriate. So I get a lot more disapproving faces in the course of my day than another person would get, right? Or maybe that you and me got in a typical day when we were 5 years old or 7 years old. So the other thing that happens is, and by the way, this is not a critical thing of any parent who either was or is sad, angry, frustrated, afraid, depressed.
Right.
Because if you're not given any tools, if you're told that your child is going to have a terrible life, if you don't have any hope, then what else are you going to feel except those things? And so it's not kind of a finger pointing. If you're a parent, you ought not feel that way.
Right.
But
and it's good to go through a process.
And be honest.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
say, last week in our Sunrise Program Startup, I remember one of the fathers said, sometimes I'm just really angry because this wasn't supposed to be our life. And he said, and I just feel terrible that I think that. And I think there was like 45 people there, and I turned to the group and I said, raise your hand if you've ever thought that. And every hand went up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I think part of it is the attitude of not only the parents, but the attitude of the people trying to help the parents.
Yeah.
Right? So we're trying to really show parents that there's nothing to judge yourself about. You're doing the best that you can. You've done the best that you could, and you love your child, and we don't have to teach you that. Yeah. You already got that. So we just have to help you get some of that depression or anger, or frustration or pain out of the way so that what's naturally already in you can come out. And when you help yourself become calmer, less fearful, more present, more less afraid, then every parent's natural, beautiful, powerful ability to love is right there. Right? So then if you help a parent feel that, and then you just give them a toolbox, they're the best people to help this kid. Yes,
absolutely. And I'm a firm believer that you're your child's best advocate. Nobody else is going to have that commitment.
Yes.
So I love that. And so,
oh, you were asking about the paradigm.
Let's talk about the paradigm shift. So, this was a major light bulb moment for me when I started reading about the Sunrise program. Just how, and I feel like this goes back to the attitude, this helps give that feeling of hope and to help you get the tools that you need to do something with it. But what autism is defined differently than a lot of other people would define it here at the Sunrise program.
Yes.
And I love one more thing. I love the slogan, let's do autism differently.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful because, amen. That is what we need to do because what is working here is not what you're getting. It's not sort of the first thing that you're going to hear, from your pediatrician. It's something you're really having to seek out. So, talk about how the Sunrise program views autism and what it is.
Okay, so your typical standard view is that it is an issue that is really like behavioral. So you have to stop the hand flapping, you have to stop the jumping, you have to stop the scripting over and over again. And this is weird, not okay behavior. And if we could stop all of that, then I always have trouble with this. I'm like, then what?
Right.
If you could stop all this, then your
he
child
looks normal.
He looks normal
That's
in
what
the
it is.
supermarket,
Yep.
and then you can feel better.
Yeah.
But the idea is, and he's going to actually become more socially engaged,
Exactly.
right? There's also the belief that there is not the possibility for social learning, and there's only the possibility for like successfully training.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Actually, if you repeat it 100 times, maybe he'll hold a fork. And if you disapprove and punish and whatever enough about the hand flapping, sure, you could train a kid not to flap their hands, but they're no less autistic.
Right.
So we believe it's a social relational disorder, right? So it's the inability to really connect with another person, right? And that's at the heart of the matter, and that the scripting and the running back and forth and the lining up cars and the spinning the wheels and the repeating, those are just symptoms.
Right. And I love the example you guys give. If you could tell it, the proof of that is if you look at a 3-year-old lining up cars, and then you look at a 19-year-old talking compulsively about, let's say, Star Wars or something, what is the commonality between them?
Are you talking about typical children or autistic
No,
children?
autistic, right. So finding the common link.
Yes.
Because the behaviors are not the same.
Yes.
So what puts them in the same group?
Yes. Every neurotypical child does things that are kind of autistic at one point or another. Watch a baby. They'll flap their hands when they're excited. Actually, watch your child. They will walk on their toes at some point. They will rock back and forth when they're listening, right? But it's just a tiny little phase in them and like exploring their bodies and the world, and they keep going.
Right.
So what the other thing that's very different about the Sunrise program viewpoint is that these behaviors we do not see as the enemy. We see these behaviors as the doorway, right, to connecting with our children. So instead of judging them, we delight in them. And instead of trying to stop them, we join in with them, right? So when our children are doing these things over and over and over again, you'll see that it is calming to them, and that it's important to them, and that it's meaningful to them. And when they're alone, they do it. They're not doing it to make you angry. They're not doing it to be defiant. They're doing it when you're not even in the room, they do it because it feels good to them. Now, maybe I don't exactly know why, because I've never been them.
Right.
But they keep doing it,
right.
And they don't have to do it, and they keep doing it. And then what we notice is, if I don't see it as the enemy, we go back to attitude.
Yep.
If I look on it with eyes of love and say, this is different and good, instead of this is different and bad, this is different and interesting versus this is different and aberrant, right?
Right.
So if we have that attitude, then I could watch this behavior. I could see that it's important to the child. And as a way to say I love you in a language they could understand, I could do it with them. And this would be my way to say, hi, I'm totally okay with you the way that you are, instead of saying stop it, no, taking it away, saying don't do that.
Right. And I love, I hope this is okay. Tell me and we'll edit it out if
Okay.
it's not. The example that Ron gives in the book about this is how typical people behave. This is how people create relationships with each other, friendships with each other. This is completely normal for typical people. But for some reason, we draw that line in the sand and say, you know, a child with autism couldn't possibly
Yes.
benefit from
Yes.
having somebody join them in their
Well,
shared interest.
Think of it this way. Think of every person that you know. I mean, unless it's like someone you're connected to because your spouse, they're a family member of your spouse.
Right.
But other than that, you met people and made friends because you had something in common.
Right.
This is why when our kids are little and we're at the park, we start talking to the other moms because we all have kids.
Right.
This is why when you're in a foreign country, if you speak French and you hear someone else speaking French, you immediately go up to them.
Right.
This is why people who do yoga are friends with each other, right? We're always friends with people we have something in common with.
Exactly.
But I'm 7, and I like to flip through pages of a book and then smell the book, right? And I just love that. That's like one of my favorite pastimes. And I have never met another person on the face of this earth that I have something in common with.
Yep.
So we want to be the ones to say, actually, you're not going to believe this. Seriously, I love flipping through the books and smelling them. This is like, look, I'm one of your friends. I'm one of your people. And that's why we find it's so common that when educators and parents and therapists start doing this, the children start looking, the children start smiling. And when I say children, I even mean someone who is a 40-year-old child, right?
Yeah.
Because it's amazing and wonderful to find someone you have something in common with.
Yes.
So then the attitude helps you feel relaxed enough and open enough to see that as not a bad thing. And then the joining allows you a vehicle to use to make the connection.
Exactly. And C.S. Lewis has a quote. I'm not going to get it right, so I'll put it in the show notes. But it's something to the effect of, friendship begins the moment someone looks at you and says, "Oh, really? Me too."
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It's that connection
Yes.
of me too.
Yes.
You know, this is your world. I want to know more about that. Show me how I can know more about you. So that paradigm shift is so critical in drowning out the noise of saying, you know, stamp out. I can't tell you how many times. Just stamp out the behavior, and then looking instead at the behavior as a doorway into an opportunity for a relationship with your child.
And I'll also tell you this. So my mother is the one who first began like this basic technique, but it wasn't a technique. It was basically, I asked her, so why did you know, what was going through your mind and everything like that moment? What compelled you when you saw him rocking to start rocking, right? I mean, now the Sunrise program is an entire program where it's all explained and there's books about it and there's a developmental model and there's, right? But she's just a mom in her house.
Yeah.
And she said she literally just so wanted to understand him and feel close to him. She was just a mom who wanted to understand her kid. And she thought, why is he rocking? What does he get out of that? Why does he keep doing it? Because they had that kind of attitude at that time. So she just felt like, well, maybe if I did it with him, I'd get more of a feeling of like what my child is feeling, and I would understand and know and be able to love my child even more. And so she was just doing it for that reason. And then he looked at her. And she was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. And then she kind of did a little more, and then he looked more. And then that was kind of where it started. And I also remember then when my father, Barry Neil Kaufman, wrote the book Sunrise.
Right.
It became an NBC TV movie, and, you know, it was told about in People magazine, etc. So, you know, people just started calling them and showing up at the door with like an autistic kid, like, hey. And really they were saying, well, you know, it worked with my kid. I don't know if this would work with your child.
Right.
So then they joined another child, and that child looked and started connecting. And they joined another child. So it was a very organic thing that started from a loving and accepting place.
Right.
You know?
Right. Okay, so Bryn,
Yes.
okay, I'm a mom. I've got a child with autism. Well, I guess it doesn't matter what age. Let's not say an age.
Okay.
But let's say that he is not yet verbal, and he spends most of his day in exclusion from me. So if I have one thing that I'm going to go do after I listen to this, what would it be?
You know what I'm going to say.
I know what you're going to say, but just in case they don't know what you're going to say.
Yeah, the one thing would be, and this is even if you're not totally there with the attitude yet, even if you're still struggling, even if you haven't slept in 5 years, you know, even if you're, you know, your child has 4 tantrums a day, you know, even if you're really struggling, if you could just take 15 minutes and just go wherever your child is doing their repetitious behavior, whatever that might be, and sit a couple of feet away from them and just try and do exactly what they're doing, but with sincerity. Like, really try and do it. Really try and see what it feels like to do that. And don't stop them and don't take it away from them. And just, I also think if as a parent, you look at them and you let yourself say, I really love you. And I really want to be close to you. Right? Because that's what we as parents really want. We really want our children to know we love them. I remember thinking, does Jade even know I love her?
Yeah.
Like that she is loved and treasured, because she never looks at me or pays attention enough. She won't let me touch her to even know that.
Right.
So this also gives you a vehicle to give that message. And I think if you did that for 15 minutes today and 15 minutes tomorrow, at the least, you would feel good and you would feel closer to your child. And you would feel much more calm and relaxed than trying to force and make your child learn the skill, then have the fight that you guys have every day that you hate and your child hates, right?
Right.
And then try and do it again tomorrow. And do it a couple of times, and I think it would be really amazing to see what can come from that. I think that would be the wonderful thing to do first.
I love that. Okay, so here's the second scenario. Let's say I have a 12-year-old who is fully verbal, but has no friends, and doesn't really understand our jokes, he takes life very seriously, everything's very literal. What can I do today to connect with him?
Okay, well, first, I'm going to say like something to think and something to do, okay?
Okay.
What I would think is that oftentimes everyone, many professionals, and it's true for family members and for parents too, because a child is very verbal, so they can speak in paragraphs, they can speak in, for 10 minutes about the history of the toilet bowl or whatever it is, and they know every Star Wars movie date and release and every character and how to spell them and all of that therefore they're just being belligerent, difficult. They're perfectly capable of listening. They're
just choosing not to do what I want them to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so there tends to be a heightened level of impatience.
Yes.
Like, look at you. You're perfectly... So I think the thing to think is, this is what I find helpful, is remember how much the way they behave, which is not their fault, makes their life also difficult. How many people aren't nice to them? How many people are annoyed at them? How many people... So don't you think if they knew a better, easier way to get through the day, that they would... Who wouldn't do that?
Right.
Right?
Right.
I can get more of what I want. I can get, have friends. I can do that thing I see all those kids doing that I'd like to do with them. Right? Who wouldn't do that? So I think if you would think, they are doing the best that they can too.
Yeah.
Just like I am, and just like that 3-year-old who doesn't speak yet is. And I want to be really accepting of the fact that this is how they're coping. By picking so one child is turning the pages in the book and smelling the book, and this one is talking about wood and trees and tables, and that's what they love to talk about. But it's the same thing. It's just in words.
Right.
So I would recommend that you do the same thing, that you join. So if your child's favorite topic is, let's see, I'm trying to think. one of my kids' favorite topic was the violent death of movie stars.
Oh, wow.
Yes, had them all memorized, every single one in the year. Another one might be the squid, the sea creature.
Oh, okay.
Everything about the
Everything
squid
about the
that
squid.
one could possibly know.
Yeah.
So the first thing is to decide you're going to join in with that. Now, how would you do that?
Right.
One way is just stop telling them you don't want to hear it anymore.
Yes. Yes, because don't we always, oh, honey, it's not polite. Grandma doesn't want to hear any more about
we already
Minecraft.
talked about that.
Remember you told me that earlier?
I already answered that.
Yeah, and we want to redirect them to talking about something normal so people will be friends with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's go back to, they don't have a single person they've ever met in their whole life on the planet who loves to talk about squids.
Exactly. And so then redirecting their speech is no different than pushing your child's hands down
Right.
when they're flapping and saying, gentle hand, don't flap your hands.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same kind of saying, I don't like this behavior, I don't want this behavior.
Yeah.
And since you do this behavior, I don't like or want to be around you when you're doing this thing, right?
Which is always that they're doing.
That's
the
right.
thing usually, quite frequently throughout the day.
I also think, and this is it's like a subtext, but I think everyone can relate to it. The other reason that we want to stop our children from either repeating this same topic over and over again or doing something over and over again is that we are trying to protect them, we believe, from the judgments of others.
Right.
Here's the thing. People are going to judge them whether they're autistic or they're not autistic.
Right.
Like people, I got judged, you got judged, we all get judged all the time.
Right.
Right? And sometimes you're judged because you went to an Ivy League college, and sometimes you're judged because you didn't go to an Ivy League college, and sometimes you're judged because you wear makeup, and sometimes you're judged because you don't wear makeup.
Right.
You just can't win for losing somebody.
Yeah.
So actually the way to really help our children is for us not to judge them.
Yeah.
And that's the part where it's important to look at your attitude, because if I'm scared that my child's going to be judged, or if I'm scared that they're not going to be okay, then the behavior is the enemy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
If he would just stop talking about this,
then we'd be okay.
Yeah. Got it. So then how do you join talking?
Thank you. So one thing is, rather than either trying to redirect it to another topic or shutting it down or trying to then turn it into some academic thing like, oh, squids. How many squids am I holding up right now? Right? Why don't we write a story about it?
Yeah.
Is to fall in love with it. So first, it's to literally nod your head and smile.
Yeah.
Like squids is the greatest thing you've ever heard in your life. Like, shut up, you love squids. I love squids. Right? And talking about them and delighting and nodding your head and not interrupting. And then when they stop, saying, thank you for telling me that. I love to hear about squids. And then if you have anything you'd like to say about squids, you talk about squids. Right?
Right.
And then we could both talk about squids. But look what's happening. We're connecting.
Yeah.
My child's giving me their attention.
Yeah.
And their focus. And really, as parents, the message is, I don't care what game we play. I just want to play with you.
Yeah.
So if it's squids, great. I'll talk about squids.
Right.
So if we take that mindset, I just want to be close to my kid.
Right.
And if I do this, I will feel closer to them, and they will feel accepted and joined in love, and I'll be able to say, guess what? Mom's the friend you've been looking for all this time.
Yes.
And then, to go a step further, once my child looks at me more, pays more attention to me, wants to be with me more instead of moving away, starts to include me in the repetitious thing and want me to do it with them and be together versus moving away from me, and etc., then they start growing what we call the interactive attention span, which is then they start being able to pay attention to people longer. And one of the, people will often say that, like, this child doesn't have intellectual capacity, when actually they're just not, most 99.9, they're not paying attention long enough to get the information.
Yeah.
So of course I'm not learning. First of all, I'm not paying attention. Second of all, the person who's trying to teach me something is always like trying to stop me from what I'm doing. And third, I don't care.
Yeah. That's it.
because it's not relevant to me.
Right.
But
Because it has nothing to do with squids.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you would love squids and I would love squids, and tomorrow you'd come in dressed like a squid, and the next day you'd bring me a squid book, and you would just be like all about the squid, then I'd start paying attention to you longer, and I'd start smiling at you more, and then we could maybe we could count squids. And then maybe we could write a story about a squid. And then so you'd learn how to read and how to write and how to count all through squids. That's how we could start.
Right.
And then I could say, you want to hear something crazy? You can write about squids. You know what? You can also write about when we went to Chick-fil-A or whatever. Chick-fil-A! Why don't we write a story about that? So then the child's more open to like my topics and my interests because we're friends.
But it's only after that connection is developed, then you sort of have the street credibility with them that you have that relationship. So then you can ask the questions, all the things you want your child to do. And that's all laid out beautifully in something called the developmental model. I'll link to that, but really it's not going to do you any good unless you read the books and come to the program. We'll talk about that in a second, but you can at least look at it because that did help me. I'm like, what is our goal here?
Yes.
What are we? Okay, so we join our kids. We all feel good and warm at the end of the night.
And then what?
And then what? When are we going to move forward? And so it lays out beautifully how you've probably been working on the wrong things, what the right things to work on are, and how you can go through that in a very, I don't want to say systematic because it's not, but sort of a systematic way.
Yes.
There's a plan to it. You're not going to try to teach this before you teach this. And like Bryn mentioned, the interactive attention span is everything because if they're not paying attention to you, no, we're not going to be teaching division this year. So it's really kind of important the order you go in. But that is, once that relationship is really connected and you're getting a lot more interaction from your child, that's when you start to introduce some of the goals. And so it's so much about timing. And I would say this program has the same intentions as many other programs. The big key difference is the timing and the delivery. And that makes all the difference because you're not going to get where you want to go.
Well,
if you do it out of order.
I would like to challenge what you said.
Okay, challenge
when
it.
you said this is what most programs are trying to accomplish.
I meant in terms of goals, like getting them. Okay.
If you get, like listeners here, if you get 150 IEPs or goals, right? What you will see is sits at the table after 4 prompts, is able to recognize colors 3 out of 4 times, follows 2-step instructions. It says nothing. I know I was teaching, and also the ones they wanted for Jade, and I've looked at thousands of them. Typically the goals are, and it's all from people actually are trying to do good.
Sure.
Like everyone who's participating, the speech therapist and the OT and the teacher, they're wonderful people trying to help.
Right.
But we're focusing very much on behavior and academics.
Yes.
And actually, the Sunrise program is focusing 99% on the social development.
Right.
Right? So we do, in some programs, teach children to say, good morning. When someone says hi, you say hi back. The Sunrise program is teaching a child when you want to be friends with someone, you want to look into their beautiful eyes.
Right.
Right? If you want something, language is an amazing way to get that. Let me show you how to do that, right? And this is what I love you means. And this is what it's like to laugh with a friend. And this is, and that's what we're trying to teach. So our model is a social developmental model.
Right.
How do you grow as a person, socially engaged person?
Right.
And I think most programs are trying to train seemingly social behavior. So if I get a child to say good morning, and then he says good morning every morning, and they follow 2-step instructions, and that's what I'm focusing on, I promise you that child is alone on the playground every day.
Yeah, but he will appear. Okay, so
he just will appear less weird.
Exactly. But no, I'm glad you corrected me on that because it's true. They're working on the outside, and Sunrise is really working on the inside because the assumption is that if they understand friendship, they're going to say good morning.
Right.
And so we won't have to teach them to say good morning. They will just say it because that's what people say to each other. And they'll just, all the cognitive and the self-care and all of that will sort of start to fall in place by itself or be way easier to teach.
Yes.
Because they're growing socially.
Or we can explain how these things would serve them.
Right.
Right. So with most kids, we're just saying, look, we made these rules. Now, you don't get a choice in what the rules are and everything because you're a kid. So, and for a child that, let's say, like, let's just take one example. You can't eat spaghetti with your hands. We just tell our kids you can't eat spaghetti with your hands. Why? Because it makes your hands dirty and your face dirty. But you can eat chicken with your hands, which makes your hands dirty and your face dirty. You can eat a hamburger with your hands, which you get ketchup all over your face and all over your hands.
So true.
And there's no reason to explain that, right? There's all these weird things that are happening. But I've had kids who are now, they're interested. They actually want to make a friend, right?
Yeah.
And when you say to them, you want to hear something really funny? Everybody's using forks with the spaghetti. I don't know why. You're right. It makes completely no sense. But this is a way you can show your friends that you have something in common, that you guys all like to eat spaghetti that way. So it's a nice thing. Yes. And then they're like, oh, well, I want a friend. Right. I'll do that.
And then they have an understanding for it. And see, that is such a perfect example of how the program is different.
Yeah.
It really is. Okay, so let's say that you listen to this and you are coming out of your seat saying, okay, that's it. I've got to find out more about this. Tell me, what do I need to do? So the program options, can you briefly tell us? Let's say I call up and say, I want to do Sunrise. What do I do?
So I would go to the website of the Autism Treatment Center of America in Sheffield, Massachusetts. I'm assuming you put
I will link to that.
There.
In the show notes.
So we have a number of different ways that you can access the program. The easiest thing that you can do in 5 minutes is go to the store and buy Autism Breakthrough by Ron K. Kaufman. And I would also recommend buying Autistic Logistics by Kate Wild.
Yes.
Because the Autism Breakthrough is really going to give you all the things like this week. You can do this from this chapter. You can do that from that chapter. Right. And it's all very focused on the Sunrise program, etc. And then the Autistic Logistics is showing you how to apply these principles in all the other ways with toothbrushing and sitting at the table and wearing your seatbelt and,
And I just have a plug for both those books are amazing, but the chapter on intense behaviors and the, crying, tantruming, and I can't remember whining, whatever. Those two chapters alone are worth buying the book for, like, today.
Yeah. Save yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so we can buy the books.
So you can buy the books. You can also go to the website. There are just a lot of families talking. There's a Facebook page that you can hear what parents are saying, so you could get a sense of what are other people think of this program.
Right.
You can go on the YouTube channel and you could see parents and us working with children. So that's something you can right now do. Also, the thing that I really love is I love when I hear about something, like a book or something, I like to pick up my phone, go to my Amazon app, and then say, I own it! Like, even before it's come to my house, I just press some buttons and it's on the way! So you can do that right now. And then there's two other things. We have an online course. It's called Sunrise Program Online. There's a website called Do Autism Differently. You can also get there via our website as well. It's a 9-month course. And it's all online. So there's videos, there's teaching, there's examples, there's things you can fill out, etc. There's an amazing library that just constantly has new content for games and fun things to do. And it's all very, I feel, earthy and simple and easy to follow.
Very easy. And we've done it and we love it. And I love the videos and a little, this is just a little fun on the side. If you do the videos and fall in love with all the teachers and you're like, oh my gosh, Kate changed my life, Bryn changed my life. And then you come to the Autism Treatment Center, that's literally who's teaching the program. And so you'll have this celebrity encounter with them and think, oh wow, it's just this tight-knit group. It's very accessible to you because these are people who are really working with kids every day. And they are the ones that are going to help you to know how to work with your child every day. So it's a very tight-knit experience.
And that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Do the online course and then come here. right? And then because now you really have a sense of the program, continue to go further. Another way to do it is just come here.
Yes.
So a lot of people, like last week, this amount of people did the online and then came, but I'd say the majority of people just said, I want to go immediately to the source and learn this intensively right now from people that I can talk to and ask questions of, and who can address my particular concerns, and I can be in a group that represents my child, and I can try them, and I can talk about when I'm upset, and I can there's a kind of personal way that the parents who come here and take an in-person program connect with each other and can connect with the teachers that I think really accelerates learning. But it also is the most effective way to help a parent deal with their pain, their fear, their concern, their worry, their frustration, all of those things. Because we want to help with that. And we know very well that the best way to help a child is to help their parent.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that you have an online program, and I think it is a fabulous resource. But if you can physically get here to the startup, there is no comparison.
And we also provide those programs in England, Paris.
That's right.
So if you go to our website, it'll say, we're in Singapore, we're in Japan, we're in India, we're in Malaysia, we're in... and if you're out there and you'd like a Sunrise program to come to your area, call us.
Yeah.
We will come to Alabama or wherever you are. The other thing I want to say is, that's the other difference, is that I almost can't find a program specifically designed to help parents.
Right.
It's mostly designed to give parents ways to get their kids to change, and just bypassing the parent who's the one
who's doing it. And that baffles me because, I mean, before you become a doctor, you have to go to school. Before you become a teacher, you have to go to school. You have to get training. And before you help your child with autism, I mean, isn't it a beautiful thought that you could get some training on how to do that? And, I mean, when you come here, just to be clear, you come here without your child. So you would be coming here.
Right there.
Yeah, right there.
Right there.
So,
that's just money worth spending. Yeah.
They put you up, you stay on campus. They feed you 3 times a day. And this is someone with celiac disease. Okay, you get to eat all 3 meals hot, uninterrupted.
Without cooking them or washing the dishes.
Without cooking or washing them.
Selling points.
Just that. And then it's like, oh yeah, and also you're going to learn how to change your child's life and your own. And it's really, there's no contest. I've made such beautiful friendships with people from all over the world through this program. And then when you leave, you're on this Facebook group and you guys all support each other and you cheer for each other, and you get on and you say, it's been 2 months and I don't know what I'm doing. What do you guys think about this? And then 25 people will reply, try this. Have you tried this? And I mean, it's this beautiful community. And because you're all connected by this common thing, it's like, I mean, day 2, you feel like you've known these people all your life. You're calling people by their first names without looking at their name tags. It's just this great connection. So I highly recommend, if you can get here. They do have financial support. You can
we have
call and ask.
Scholarships available, etc. Yes.
So it is way more feasible than you think. I would challenge you to not do what I did in 2011 or whenever it was and say, there's no way. There's no way. Because guess what? When I said that, there was no way.
Hey,
and then I didn't come.
There was a couple who came last week. They really wanted to come. They didn't feel they had the finances because I believe they were going to have to fly, etc. So they just decided, you know what? We're going to just ask the people around us, the people who love us. Maybe people would want to help us. So they made a 2-minute video and they put it on their Facebook page, and their friends looked at it, and they raised all the money in one day. That's it.
Okay. And I'm so glad you brought up fundraising, because that story is very close to my heart, because we are here this week at Max Impact because our friends and family came around us and we did little raffles and people donated stuff. And then I had these beautiful friends say, we're going to throw you a yard sale. And I had no idea you can make so much money at a yard sale. But when you tell people it's for autism training, I mean, people are generous. I had a man buy an empty Beastie Boys cassette cover, just the case.
Just to help.
It was empty. And he said, yeah,
I just
here's
wanna help
some money.
you.
I just
Yeah.
want to help.
We also have, and our program advisors really work with people in terms of what kind of scholarship would make it possible for you to get here.
Right.
What could we give you, and how could we bridge any kind of gap the thing that's getting in your way. We don't want there to be any blockage.
Right.
And so we have program advisors that will talk to someone every week.
Yeah.
For 10 weeks, for 5, on and off for 7 months.
Yeah.
Where I've had people, we're talking to someone in Africa all the time, until, like, they'll stay with you and help you
Yes.
until you can get the time off work and et cetera.
Yeah, and that is very true, that we had the same counselor for years, and then when he moved on, our new counselor's been with us for another couple years. And I mean, these people know you,
Yeah.
and they know your children, and they care about you, and they want to help you. So they really do go out of their way to help. But all right, so those are your big program options, either in person, which obviously is my favorite, but online, if that's all you can do right now, that is an excellent place to start. So I highly suggest that you check out those. Bryn, thank you so much for being on today.
Welcome. I enjoyed it. I've never done a podcast before. It's very exciting. We should do another one.
We should. I'm honored.
And I bet we could even do it from a distance.
We can. I do them on Skype. So,
All right.
But it was so fun to do it with you in
Yeah,
person today.
thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much for being on. And thank you all so much for listening. Have a great one.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for listening to Homeschooling Outside the Box. If you are loving the show, please consider heading over to iTunes and leaving a review. This is a really great way to help other moms find out about the show so they can be encouraged and equipped just like you are. For more encouragement for yourself, head over to cindyrenna.com. I've got blog posts on there. You can listen to past episodes of the podcast, and there's even a shop if you're looking for something to help equip you more in your homeschool. Things like book lists and a nature journal and all sorts of fun stuff. So thanks again for listening, and I will talk with you soon. Bye-bye.